Hello Towelites, this is Clay with another figure review. This time I will be reviewing Batman from the DC Comics Greg Capullo Designer Series. This series is fantastic. I love Greg Capullo's art. I actually have already gotten the Riddler from this wave and the Commissioner Gordon that just came out, and so I went back and I got Batman because I figure, you know, having those two and not having Batman was a little sacrilege. So here we are. And from what I see and from what I've seen online, this is an absolutely fantastic figure, so I'm excited to get into this guy. Alright, so on the front we got DC Comics Designer Series Greg Capullo action figure, like I just said. We got a nice number 1, because this is the first one in the series, and a little Batman, because, you know, gotta know who the character is. If you don't, I don't know why you're buying this. Greg Capullo's artwork on the side, which is phenomenal. If you're not reading his series with Zack Snyder, then you are completely missing out on probably one of the best series that I've read in the past, like, 5 years. It's absolutely fantastic. So go read that after you watch this review. There you go. Alright. And then on the back, we got the other 3 in the line. We got Batman, Talon, Nightwing, and the Riddler. And I already have Batman and the Riddler, as I said earlier. Not really interested in Nightwing at all. Just, you know, not a huge fan of that character. I know, a lot of people are going to get pissed off about that, but I just don't really care about him. And then Talon's pretty cool. I liked what they did with him in City of Owls. So, let's get into this figure, you guys. Alright, and here is our figure out of the package. I can say that I really enjoy how this figure looks, but I do have a couple gripes for articulation and just like the accessories. As you can see, I have him with his 3 batarangs in his hand, and they are probably the biggest pain I have with this figure. It is really, I think, a little too difficult to get them all in. It might be just my figure, but I feel like every time I get one in, another one pops out. It takes me a really long time to get all 3 in, but you know, they're small pieces, so I guess it's understandable. And being that they're small pieces, you know, it's really easy to lose them too, so you got to be very careful when you're using them. So it's a little stressful. But yeah, I guess I'll get into the articulation real quick. Let me take these out, put them right here. I'll give you a closer look at those in a second. Yeah, so this guy has some pretty good articulation. His head can move all the way up like that, all the way down, left and right. So we got some pretty decent head articulation. The shoulder joints rather can move about that high on either side. And then we have a bicep swivel. And then this joint right here gives me a lot of trouble. Just because it's really, really stiff, and it takes quite a lot, I mean, not a lot of force, you know, I'm not straining, but it's definitely another one of those stressful things about this figure, is because I don't want to break it, but it's really, really stiff joint. We got glove movement and wrist movement. It can move all around, I think, or, yeah, it can move forward and backwards. Hold on if I can get that in camera. Yeah, forward and backwards like that. And then we got, you know, a chest or a bicep diaphragm joint. I said bicep. It's definitely not a bicep, but a diaphragm joint. A thigh swivel. Double jointed knees, so they can bend up about that. Boot rotation and ankle movement. It can turn left and right and up and down. One of the biggest gripes about this figure, there is no ankle rotation. It's kind of frustrating, because you want to get him in all these dynamic poses, being that's Batman, you know, he's always, you know, martial arts master and all that fun stuff. But you really can't get him into a lot of those poses because his ankles are kind of, are just kind of fixed like that. There's no ankle rotation at all. So, yeah, in terms of quality for this figure, I only had like 2 QC problems. One was this batarang, actually. I wonder if, I'm going to zoom in real quick so you can get a good look at it. Yeah. You can see the paint kind of chipped off. I don't know if this is a problem that this figure has, if other people have this problem, but yeah, it kind of bummed me out of the packaging. It was already chipped. So that kind of sucks. But, you know, that's not that big of an issue. I can always, you know, adjust how he's holding them so you can't really see him. And also, I don't know if you can really see it. See if I can kind of get him in focus here. But on his, like, the top, or rather the bottom part of his cowl, is just a little spot that doesn't look like it got painted, like the paint chipped off. And it was like that out of the packaging again. So I don't know what the deal was with those. And as for the joints, I told you about those really stiff joints that we have in the diaphragm and the elbows. There's also a problem with my I guess it'd be his right ankle. It's really loose, so that makes posing a little more difficult as well. You know, again, you want to get in those with the ankle pivot not being there. You want to get him in these dynamic poses and stuff, and you know that ankle really, it doesn't, you know, it's hard to balance him, especially with the weight of the cape. I really like how they did his cowl, how he has kind of these frown lines right here, and kind of, you know, the sturgeon face kind of thing, but not too sturgeon facey. The small bat ears, I really like that about it. A lot of people were complaining about like the pink hues in the flesh tone, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. It really, you know, now that I have a light on it, it really comes out, but it's not, you know, I won't have this direct light on it all the time. And even through the camera, it's not coming across as much as the actual figure does in person. But, I mean, I really don't have that much of a problem with it. I kind of, you know, I like it. I like it a lot more than the kind of, like, waxy skin look that a lot of the figures in this designer series have. That's actually kept me from getting a couple of them. But no, I like this figure, and I like how it looks. The cowl itself, like from the head sculpt down, all this good stuff like here and down is all rubberized. And while that's a really cool effect, it does weigh the cape down a little bit. As I mentioned before, the cape does kind of throw off how you're positioning him, but you know, it's for the best. I really like how it looks. And I really like the glossy paint on the bat symbol on his chest. And a lot of people don't like it, but I like the look of the New 52 Batman, how he has these lines coming across his suit and everything. I like even the ripples right here. I do like the shading on this belt. There are a couple spots where it kind of just looks like splotchy, but besides that, it's not horrible. He also has the gloss on his gauntlets, or his gloves, or whatever you call them. And he has them on his boots as well. One thing I kind of like, and it kind of just reminds me of like a campy, like Grant Morrison Batman story, but the bat symbols on the boots, there's just something that I like about that. It's kind of a goofy design, because it has no practicality at all, and you know, Batman's all about practicality for I guess the most part. But I really like the I guess armor on his kneecaps, and it is glossed, so that looks pretty cool too. And I like the scuffs and everything, and it really brings it out. Alright, and here's a close-up of those Batarang accessories I was talking about earlier. I really like these, as you can see, my QC problem. But they're really just nicely sculpted. They're really tiny, as you can see from how big my hand is, compared to these little pieces. So be very careful when you're messing around with them if you get this figure. You can see that there's like a little hole here, or like a little slot rather, here, and here. And that's just kind of where they fit in. And you can imagine being how close they are, that this is a little bit of a pain in the butt. To actually get them to stay. But, you know, you can, if you fiddle with it for a little while, you can get them. I'm going to show you probably right now why. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they pop out. And it's a little frustrating, but like I said, if you finagle with it for a while, it works out pretty well. So all in all, man, I really enjoyed this figure. There are some minor gripes, but I think that they're kind of, I guess, fixed by just how damn pretty this figure is. it's really just a great addition to my collection. And any Batman fan, any Snyder and Capullo fan, should really just pick up this figure. It's fantastic. Alright, and that's all for now, you guys. Be sure to check out Don't Forget a Towel for my weekly article, Top of the Stack, where I give you my lineup every week of the comics that I'm buying and why you should be interested in those comics as well. Stay smart, you guys.